Dear students, good evening to everyone. Let's start now. Questions on ABC. Students, in a very first class, we have discussed each and every concepts of ABC. What is ABC? Why ABC? What are the implications? What are the advantages and disadvantages? All the theoretical part we have already discussed. Now let's go for the questions. Obviously, I did mention that in lecture 1 also, that you will not be having a long question on ABC. But obviously, ABC is examinable in section A of your paper as well as section B of your paper. So instead of going directly towards the discussion of multiple choice question, let us discuss at least one long question. And obviously, this long question will give you a really good foundation for ABC. Let's read the requirements first. Advantages, disadvantages of ABC we have already discussed. And this is our first question of ABC. It says calculate the production cost per unit. Calculate the production cost per unit. Okay. Basically, when we say production cost, so what happens? In production cost, there will be a direct material, direct labor, and obviously, we take production overheads as well. They're asking us to calculate production cost per unit. Obviously, there's a concept of direct expense as well, but these things are not examinable in PM. So simply, when we say production cost, so there will be one direct cost, and then there is your production overheads. Calculate the production cost per unit of plus and double plus if the company uses traditional absorption costing and overheads are recovered on a direct labor hours basis. So simply we are required to calculate production cost per unit. There are two products. One product is having a name plus, another product name is double plus. If they are saying calculate production cost per unit, if the company uses traditional absorption costing and overheads are recovered on a direct labor hours basis. So basically we'll take the overheads divided by total labor hours. That will give us FOH rate under absorption costing. So let's first deal with part A of this question. So this is our first question. CABAL makes and sells two products, plus and double plus. The direct costs of production are $12 for 1 unit of plus, 24 per unit of double plus. So since obviously nobody is going to ask in PM paper about your direct material, direct labor. So what examiner has done here, they have directly given you the direct cost per unit. You just need to calculate production overheads per unit. Okay. Information relating to the annual production and sale is as follows. Annual production and sales plus is having 24. The volume of production and sale is 24,000. Double plus is also 24. Direct labor hours per unit. 1 unit of plus takes 1 hour. 1 unit of double plus takes 1.5 hours. In absorption costing, we know that. How do we calculate FOH rate under absorption costing? Simply FOH rate is equal to. We'll take budgeted overheads divided by budgeted activity levels. Budgeted fixed overheads divided by budgeted activity level. This is how we calculate FOH rate under absorption costing. So simply FOH rate is equal to budgeted FOH divided by budgeted activity level. And normally we know that under absorption costing, either the budgeted activity level is going to be the labor hours or machine hours. And in this question, it is categorically mentioned, clearly mentioned. Examiner has clearly mentioned that budgeted activity level is labor hours. So let's first calculate the total labor hours. Budgeted activity level is equal to 24,000 units of plus 1 unit needs 1 hour plus double plus they're having 24,000 units, but 1 unit is having 1.5 hours. And budgeted activity level is, we know that this is basically direct labor hours. What are we calculating? We are calculating total direct labor hours. Because we know that under absorption costing, either your budgeted activity level is going to be total machine hours or the labor hours. Here it is again clearly mentioned. Your budgeted activity level is direct labor hours. So first we have to calculate total direct labor hours. 24,000 multiplied by 1 for the plus, and double plus. In double plus, basically 1 unit needs 1.5 hour of labor. So obviously 24,000 into 1.5. So the total number of labor hours, one is 24,000, another is 24 into 1.5, 36. 36 plus 24, I'm getting 60,000. So you can say that budgeted direct labors, we have 60,000. Budgeted direct labor hours, we have 60,000. So very easily we can calculate fixed overhead rate per direct labor hour. FOH rate is equal to budgeted fixed overheads. Let's see what is the total of budgeted fixed overheads. Information relating to the annual production and sale is as follows. So we have total budgeted overheads 4,32,000. So simply budgeted overheads 4,32,000 divided by budgeted activity level, which is 60,000 direct labor hours. That will give us FOH rate per direct labor hour. So 4,32,000 divided by 60. I'm getting 7.2 per direct labor hour. Okay. Now under absorption costing, we need to calculate full production cost per unit of plus and full production cost of 1 unit of double plus. So let's calculate. Plus and another is double plus. And don't forget one, right now we are solving part A of the question. Examiner has already given us the direct cost 12 and 24. So right now, actually, we are dealing with part A. So under absorption costing. Direct cost obviously will remain same. Either it is absorption costing or it is ABC. Direct cost is 12 and 24. Now simply we need to at production overhead cost. Production overhead. Now, please look at this. FOH rate is 7.2 per direct labor hour. FOH rate under absorption costing is 7.2 per direct labor hour. Product plus, let's see how many hours do they need. Product plus is here. Product plus needs 1 hour. So it means 7.2 will remain 7.2 because 1 unit of plus needs 1 hour of direct labor. But when it comes to double plus, 1 unit of double plus takes 1.5 hour. So it means 1.5 into 7.2 will give you the production overhead per unit. So for double plus, production overhead per unit is 10.8. For double plus, production overhead per unit is 10.8 because in double plus, it takes 1.5 direct labor hours to produce 1 unit. Repeat. Double plus takes 1.5 labor hours to produce 1 unit. So we know that we have already calculated the FOH rate per direct labor hour. So per direct labor hour, the rate is 7.2, but double plus takes 1.5. So simply 7.2 into 1.5 means 10.8 is the production overhead cost for double plus, and plus takes only 1 hour. So it will remain 7.2. So 7.2, and for the double plus, actually it is 1.5 into 7.2, and that is 10.8. So full production cost per unit under absorption costing. Full production cost per unit. Full production cost per unit under absorption costing is 19.2. For the plus, and for double plus, it is 34.8. Full production cost per unit for plus, it is 19.2. For double plus, it is 34.8. That is your part A of the question. Under absorption costing, let me repeat, how do we calculate FOH rate? It's a very simple formula. Budgeted fixed overhead divided by budgeted activity level gives you fixed overhead rate under absorption costing. And budgeted activity level is mentioned in the question that we need to calculate FOH rate by using direct labor hours. So first we have calculated the direct labor hours, then budgeted FOH divided by budgeted activity level. Okay, now let's read the requirement 2. Requirement B. Calculate the production cost per unit of plus and double plus if company uses ABC. A very important concept. Either company is using absorption costing or let's say ABC costing, direct cost will not change. Basically, direct cost means direct material, direct labor. If the direct expense is there, we take that also. Direct expense, just an example, direct expense is not the direct material, it's not the direct labor, but still, if it is there, you have to bear. The example is assuming the royalty payment. Royalty payment is an example of direct expense. And direct material, we know that which is easily traceable. And direct labor means those labor, they are directly involved in the production process. So simply the main concept is either you are using absorption costing or ABC costing, direct cost will not change. You will see the change in fixed overhead per unit, obviously. fixed overhead per unit will be different in ABC as compared to absorption. But it has no impact either absorption costing you are using or ABC, your direct cost will remain same. Now let's work on ABC. In ABC, basically, we know that according to activity-based costing, when you are calculating FOH rate, so it should be on the basis of cost drivers. So all you need is cost pool divided by cost driver will give you overhead absorption rate. So before even reading the data, let me just give you one point. Now we are actually doing ABC. So overhead absorption rate under ABC is equal to, you have to take the cost pool divided by cost drivers. You need to divide that with the total of cost driver. Total of cost driver. So cost pool, for example, if the cost pool is inspection cost, so inspection cost total will come in the numerator and total number of inspections, they will come in the denominator. So overhead absorption rate is equal to cost pool divided by total of cost driver. Now let's see. And each activity will have a separate cost drivers. Number of orders for plus, number of orders we have 10. So for 24,000 units, there are number of orders 10 for plus and number of orders. Number of orders for double plus we have 140. It means total number of orders we have 150. Repeat. Number of orders. For plus we have 10 orders, for double plus we have 140 order. It means total number of orders are 150. Okay. Number of batches. Plus is having 12 batches. Double plus is having 240 batches. It means total is 252 batches. 252 batches. Okay. Then it says number of setups per batch. Specialist parts per unit. I'll come to this. Now look at this. We have setup cost, number of setups, and 73,200. So let me show you the working now properly. Part B. We have two products, plus and double plus. Plus and double plus. Take the total. So number of orders, if you ask me the number of orders, I'll say they are 150. Number of orders. Number of orders. Plus is having 10 orders, double plus is having 140 orders. So the total is 150. Okay. First, we need to know the total of the cost drivers. So number of orders, the total is 150. Now come back. Number of batches, plus is having 12 and double plus is having 240. Number of batches. So batches, plus is having 12, double plus is having 240. So the batches are 252. Okay, come back. We have batches, that is 252. Okay, now. Number of setups per batch. Number of setups per batch. Now, student, try to understand. Plus is having number of batches 12. And per batch, one setup is required. It means, let me repeat, number of batches. For the plus, there are 12 number of batches, and setup is number of setups per batch is 1. So it means if I ask you how many setups do we need for plus, so there are number of batches 12. Each batch needs one setup. So the total number of setup for the plus, we have 12. Total number of setups for plus, we have 12. But when it comes to double plus, number of setup per batch, there are 3. Number of setups per batch, there are 3. And how many batches do we have for double plus? We have 240. Now try to understand. 240 multiplied by 3. So 240 multiplied by 3. I'm getting 720. So basically 240 multiplied by 3. This will give you the total number of setups which are required for double plus. So for double plus, the total number of setups we need 720. It means plus needs 12 times in the product plus we will bear setup cost. But in double plus, we have to bear the setup cost 720 times. So the total of the setup is 732. Repeat. Plus is having number of batches 12 and setup cost is per batch 1. So 12 multiplied by 1 will give us number of setup for the plus. But when it comes to double plus, the number of batches are 240 and each batch needs 3 setup. So 3 times we have to bear the setup cost. So 240 multiplied by 3. Total number of setups for double plus, we have 720. So and total number of setups are 732. So let's come here. Setups. 12. 720. I've just discussed the calculation with you. The total is 732. You can see that here again. Number of batches in double plus, we have 240. Each batch needs 3 setups. So the total is 720. Okay. We have done with this setup as well. Now, we have special parts per unit. Special parts per unit. For plus, we have only 1. For double plus, we have 4. That is special parts per unit. So for plus, special parts per unit is 1. How many units are there for the plus? 24,000 into 1 is 24. So it means special parts required for product plus, they are 24,000. Repeat, special parts, the number of special parts required for product plus, they are 24,000. For double plus, 24,000 into special parts per unit is 4. So 24,000 multiplied by 4. 24,000 multiplied by 4 gives us 96,000. So for plus, special parts required, they are 24,000. For double plus, special parts required, they are 96,000. Why 96? Because in double plus, 1 unit needs 4 special parts. So the total is 1,20,000. Total is 1,20,000. It means special parts for plus we need 24,000 and for double plus we need 96,000. And total we are getting 1,20,000. Okay. Direct labor hour per unit there is also. Plus needs 1 hour per unit and they need 1.5. So 24,000 and 24,000 into 1.5, I'll get 36,000. Let's calculate direct labor hours as well. Direct labor hours. 1 unit of plus needs 1 direct labor hour. So total direct labor hours 24,000 and 1 unit of double plus needs 1.5 hour. So 24,000 into 1.5 gives us 36,000. And total direct labor hours, we know that it is 60,000. Okay, now we have calculated total for the number of orders, batches, setup, special parts, and labor hours. Now we have to calculate overhead absorption rate under ABC. So actually under ABC, what happens? For each activity, we'll be calculating the separate overhead absorption rate. Now let's try to find out the cost. Okay, let's see. I have setup cost and the cost driver is number of setups. Setup cost is 73,200. So here comes the setup cost. Overhead absorption rate, we need to calculate per setup. Repeat, overhead absorption rate under ABC, we need to calculate per setup. So how we will calculate? It's very simple. We just need setup cost is 73,200. We just need to divide this setup cost by number of setups. Let's find out what is the total of number of setups. Students, total of number of setup is 732. Let me change the color. So how will you calculate overhead absorption rate for the setup cost? So we'll take the setup cost divided by total number of setup. Overhead absorption rate. Simply setup total cost is 73,200. Total number of setups we have 732. So overhead absorption rate is $100 per setup. Now what are we doing? We're simply dividing the cost pool divided by total of the cost drivers. So cost pool divided by with the total of relevant cost driver. Obviously setup cost overhead absorption rate will be calculated. Setup cost will be divided by the total number of setups. Per setup it is $100 per setup. Okay. Second is special parts handling. So 60,000 and the cost driver is number of special parts. So simply 60,000 divided by number of special parts. So let's calculate. Overhead. The first one is overhead absorption rate per setup. The second is overhead absorption rate per special part. Overhead absorption rate per special part. What is the value of the cost pool for the special parts handling? It is 60,000. Divided by number of special parts. So 60,000 divided by 60,000 divided by, we need total for the special parts 120. So 60,000 divided by 120, it means we will get dollar 0.5. And logically, this dollar 0.5 is per part. So you can write like this. Dollar 0.5 per part. So it is dollar 0.5 per part. Third, other material handling cost depends on number of batches. So 63,000, we will divide this 63 with the total of batches. Repeat, this 63,000 will be divided by total number of batches. And we have already calculated total number of batches. We have 252. So simply 63,000 divided by total number of batches, which we have 252. So 63,000 divided by 252. Let me use the calculator. 63,000 divided by 252. I'm getting 250 per batch. 250 per batch. So overhead absorption rate 63,000 divided by 252 gives us $250 per batch. You can just write per batch, no issue at all. It is $250 per batch. Okay. We have done with this, this, and this. Order handling for number of orders. And number of orders we have, so simply we'll take 19,800 divided by number of orders. Number of orders, total number of orders, we have 150. So simply 19,800 divided by 150. 19,800 divided by 150. I'm getting 132 per order. 132 per order. So overhead absorption rate per order is equal to 19,800 divided by 150. I'm getting $132 per order. 132 per order. Okay. We have other overheads. That is 2,16,000. And no cost driver is given. When under ABC, no cost driver is given. So let's see. Other overheads costs do not have identifiable cost driver, and in an ABC costing, these overheads would be recovered on a direct labor hour basis. So there's no cost driver available for other overheads, which is 2,16,000. So the question says use direct labor hours. So other overheads absorption rate. Overhead absorption rate is equal to the amount of other overheads is 2,16,000 divided by labor hours, because it is mentioned in the question. So 2,16,000 divided by 60 gives me $3.6 per labor hour per direct labor hour. Okay. So far, what we have done, so far we have just calculated the absorption overhead rate for each activity. Repeat, so far we have calculated absorption overhead rate for each activity. Okay, now what? Now, actually, we have to allocate these overheads to the plus and double plus. Let's see what I'm doing. Plus, double plus, and obviously total. Number one cost which they have given us, they have given us 73,200. So the setup total cost is 73,200. Setup total cost is 73,200. Look at this. Setup cost is 73,200. Now let's see how much out of 73,200 actually relates to plus and how much relates to double plus. It's very simple. We have already calculated the number of, we have already calculated the cost per setup. Let me show you. Cost per setup. Cost per setup is 100. Cost per setup is 100. And how many setups do we have in plus? In plus, we have 12 setups. Now, student, try to understand. Per setup, overhead absorption rate is $100. Per setup, overhead absorption rate is $100. And plus is having how many setups? 12. So obviously 12 multiplied by 100. So I'll have 1200, obviously. Now you can simply 73,200 minus 1200 will give us 72,000. There's other way also. How many setups do we have in double plus? We have 720. Total number of setups we have in double plus 720. Per setup, the cost is 100. So obviously 720 multiplied by 100 will give you 72,000. So we have allocated 73,000. Now, special parts handling cost. Special parts handling cost. Special parts handling cost. We need to know the handling cost per part, which we have already calculated. Handling cost. Handling cost per part is 0.5. Now let's see how many special parts do we need for plus 24,000. Total number of special parts for plus we need 24,000. Per part, the rate is 0.5. So simply 24,000 multiplied by 0.5 will give us 12,000. For plus, the total number of parts are 24,000 and per part, the cost of handling is 0.5. It means the special parts handling cost is 12,000. And total of the special parts cost handling is 60. So you can do this. 60 minus 12 for double plus, it is 48,000. Otherwise, we know that per part it is 0.5. Total number of parts for double plus, we have 96,000. So obviously 96,000 multiplied by 0.5 will give you 48,000. Okay. We have allocated setup costs. We have allocated special parts handling costs. Why we are doing this, you will get to know. Just wait. Now, other material costs. Simply on the basis of number of batches and per batch, we have already calculated other material handling costs. Let's allocate that other material handling costs also. other material handling cost. Let us first check what is the rate per batch. So material handling is per batch 250. Material handling is per batch 250. Now let's see how many batches we have in plus. So number of batches in plus multiplied by 250 will give us uh, basically material handling cost for the plus, and number of batches in double plus multiplied by 250 will give us total material handling cost in case of double plus. So we have already calculated the total batches. Total batches for plus we have 12. So 12 multiplied by 250. So 12 multiplied by 250, I'm getting 3000. So material handling cost. And total material handling cost they have given us 63,000. Material handling cost. Just a minute. Material handling cost. The total of the material handling cost is 63,000. So obviously 63 minus 3, I'll get 60,000. Out of 63, obviously, if material handling cost 3,000 belongs to plus, then remaining, of course, belongs to double plus. We have done this material handling. We have done this other material handling. Okay. Now, we also have order handling. Order handling on the basis of number of orders, this is 19,800. We just need to know order handling per order rate, per order rate. Order handling cost. Order handling. Basically, we have already calculated per order handling cost. Multiply by total number of orders for plus will give us how much order handling cost belongs to plus, and then obviously remaining belongs to double plus. So order handling. Let's see what is the per order handling cost. Per order it is 132. How many orders do we have in case of plus? Number of orders are 10. Now listen carefully. 10 multiplied by 132 will give us 1320. 10 multiplied by 132 will give us 1320. And total of order handling cost is 19,800. So obviously 19,800 minus 1320 will give me 18,480. Now finally, let's go for other overheads. And obviously on the basis of direct labor hours, which we have already calculated. It is 3.6. Now listen. How many labor hours we have in plus? So 24,000 multiplied by 3.6 and 36,000 multiplied by 3.6 will give us other overheads cost. Other overheads. Total number of labor hours in plus, we have 24,000. The rate is 3.6. I'm getting 86,400. And total of other overhead is 2,16,000. So obviously 2,16,000 minus 86,400 will give me 1,29,600. What we have done, we have actually allocated the overheads. Why we have done this? Just wait for 2 more minutes. Total is obviously 4,32,000. Now let's see what is the total of plus. The total of the plus is 1,03,920, and total for the double plus is 72,000 plus 48,000 plus 60 plus 18480 plus 129,600. I'm getting 3,28,080. It means that to produce 24,000 units of plus under ABC, the overhead which belongs to plus, it is 1,03,920. And to produce 24,000 units of double plus, the overhead which total overhead which belongs to double plus, it is 3,28,080. So look at this. Number of units. They are 24,000, obviously 24. Now, very easily we can calculate overhead cost per unit under ABC. Overhead cost per unit. Simply 1,03,920 divided by 24,000. I'm getting 4.33. 3,28,080 divided by 24,000. I'm getting 13.67. Okay, now plus and double plus. Direct cost is 12 and 24. Overhead cost we have calculated per unit. Overhead cost per unit is 4.33 and 13.67. So full cost under ABC, I'm getting 16.33, 37.67. So it can be seen now, obviously, the full cost per unit under ABC is, I would say, different than what we have seen in absorption costing. In absorption costing, plus is having 19.2 and double plus is having 34.8. But ABC, they are having different cost. In fact, under ABC, plus is having the lower cost and double plus is having the higher cost as compared to absorption costing. Okay, now C says comment on the reasons for the differences in the production cost per unit between the two methods. Why the production cost is different in both the methods? Obviously, under absorption costing, it is, we know that under absorption costing, what happens? There is unfair allocation of overheads, and obviously in under ABC, there is accurate, you can say, allocation of overheads as compared to absorption. So that is one of the reasons why we have a different overhead cost per unit. And obviously, another reason is if you look at double plus, so double plus is a very complex product. The production of double plus is very complex as compared to plus. Why? Because it needs, look at this. Spatial parts per units, double plus needs 4. Number of setups per batch, plus needs 1, but double plus needs 3. Look at the number of batches. Plus is having 12, but double plus is having 240. Look at the number of orders. Plus is having 10, and double plus is having 140. So obviously, double plus is far more, the production of double plus is far more complex than the plus. So just let me deal with that. Okay, any other thing they've mentioned here? Calculate production cost per unit, we have calculated. Now, what else? Just a little comparison between absorption and I would say ABC. Just for the, otherwise you have solved the part B here, but just for the sake of understanding, nothing else, okay? Just to explain you. Under absorption costing, so unit cost under absorption costing, full production cost per unit under absorption cost. We have calculated plus, that is, I think it was 19 point. It is 19.2 and double plus is 34.8. 19.2, 34.8. Using ABC? Using ABC. Production cost per unit. Production cost per unit. It is 16.33. That is 37.67. Okay. I'm just assuming. The selling price, I'm just assuming it is 25, it is 40. So what will be the margin under absorption costing and what will be the margin under ABC? So simply gross profit, or not, it's going to be in fact assuming. So simply, let's see what is going to be the margin under absorption costing and what will be the margin under ABC costing. Let's say gross profit margin under absorption costing, under ABC. Now, please let me show you. Under absorption costing plus the selling price, we have assumed 25. Under absorption costing, we know that cost is 16.33. So gross profit. Selling price minus production cost per unit will give us the gross profit, which is 8.67. So 8.67 divided by 25 into 100. Let's see what is the GP margin. I'm getting a GP margin. 16.33 is actually ABC. It's not absorption. This is ABC. So under ABC, the margin is 34.68%. It's not 16.33 is ABC. So under ABC, it is 34.68%. Under absorption, 25. It is 19.2. The production cost of the plus under absorption is 19.2. So 25 minus 19.2, I'm getting 5.8. So simply 5.8 divided by 25 into 100. I'm getting 23.2%. So it can be seen that under absorption costing, plus is having the lower gross profit as compared to ABC. Now let's talk about double plus. Double plus, the selling price is 40 and under ABC, the production cost is 37.67 under ABC. 40 minus 37.67, I'm getting 2.33 gross profit. So 2.33 divided by 40 into 100. I'm getting this just 5.825%. 5.825%. Now under absorption, selling price is 40 and the cost under absorption. Absorption. It is production cost under absorption costing is 34.8. 40 minus 34.8, I'm getting GP 5.2. So I'm getting 13%. Now look at this carefully. Under absorption costing, gross profit margin of plus is lower. Under ABC, it is higher. Under absorption costing, GP, gross profit margin of double plus is higher. Under ABC, it is lower. Why we did this analysis? Just to give you a little bit idea. How do we compare? Because obviously the selling price will remain same under absorption as well as under margin, under ABC costing. If you are taking, let's say, selling price from the market, then selling price will not change. But obviously production cost will change. And due to change in production cost, your gross profit margin will change. So it can be seen that under absorption costing, plus is having the gross profit margin 23.2%, but under ABC, the actual gross profit margin is far more higher. When it comes to double plus, actually double plus is not giving you the gross profit margin 13. Under ABC, it has a far more less gross profit margin. Now let us quickly discuss part C, reasons. Reasons for the difference. I just want to explain you. You can write in your own wordings. Basically, number one reason, that is unfair allocation under absorption costing. Unfair allocation under absorption costing. Second, in absorption costing, basically overhead rate, the way we calculate overhead rate, it is inappropriate because in absorption costing, we have calculated FOH rate just on the basis of direct labor hours, but we know that it is not the only labor hours they have caused. They are the reason of overheads. There are other reason due to that overheads they have incurred. Another reason, obviously, when it comes to, I would say, ABC, so ABC is more suitable to deal with the complex production like double plus. So as compared to dealing with such a complex production and absorption costing, again, it's not fair at all. So simply you can just discuss unfair allocation under absorption, fair allocation under ABC. Again, under ABC, there are number of cost drivers, number of reasons due to that overheads they have incurred. It's not only the direct labors. And let me discuss one more thing, then I'll explain you in more detail. They have also asked the implication of management using ABC system instead of an absorption. Obviously, if you ask me the implications, consequences of ABC, if you have implemented ABC, pricing of your product will be more accurate. ABC will help you in decision making, performance management, and sales strategy will also change. We have part D we have already discussed. But let us now discuss in a really good detail part C and D both, because I have already told you in a very first lecture, you have to be numerically as well as theoretically. You have to be very, very strong. Okay. Now, let me discuss the answer. Okay, students, let me quickly discuss part C and D. This is part A we have done. I hope we did the more or less the same thing. Part B. Okay. And this is, they have assumed we did the same thing. This is not the required area of the answer at all. It's just for the sake of understanding they have done it and we have discussed it. The reason for differences in the production cost per unit between two methods. The allocation of overheads under absorption costing was unfair. This method assumes that all of the overheads were driven by labor hours. As a result, the double plus received 1.5 times the production overhead of the plus. However, this method of absorption is not appropriate. The overheads are in fact driven by a number of different factors. There are 5 activity costs. Each one has its own cost driver. By taking this into account, we end up with a much more accurate production overhead cost per unit. Using ABC, the cost per unit of a double plus is significantly higher. This is because the double plus is a much more complex product than plus. For example, there are 140 orders for the double plus, but only 10 for the plus. And there are 4 special parts for double plus compared to only 1 for the plus. As a result of this complexity, the double plus has received more than 3 times the overheads of plus. This accurate allocation is important because the production overhead is a large proportion of the overhead cost, overall cost. Implications we have already discussed in our first lecture. Pricing decision will be improved because the price will be based on more accurate cost data. Decision making, this should also be improved. For example, research, production, sales effort can be directed towards the most profitable products. Performance management should be improved. ABC can be used as the basis of budgeting, forward planning. The more realistic overhead should result in more accurate budget, should improve process of performance management. Sales strategy, of course, this should be more soundly based. For example, target customers with products that appeared unprofitable under absorption costing but are actually profitable, and vice versa. Obviously, your sales strategy will also change. But when it comes to the implication of using ABC, we have already discussed. Now, students, this is just the first question, and I've already mentioned that you will not be going to examine a long question of, let's say, like this long question of 20 marks in your section C, but still ABC is examinable in section B, and obviously it is examinable in section A as well. So this first question will give you a really good understanding how to deal with questions of ABC, but don't worry at all. In the next class, we are going to discuss number of questions of ABC. So don't worry at all. Slowly and gradually, you will have a really good command on this topic. Plus, at the end of each topic, I'm going to give you a little bit assignment. I want everyone to attempt those assignments. And of course, in case of any problems, confusion, you can always ask the question in your relevant WhatsApp groups. So students, thank you very much. And please check one thing. We are not only dealing in numerics. I think we are giving appropriate time to the theory as well. So thank you very much.